Så, då hoppas jag. I hope I have sound and video and that everyone can see me and hear me okay. I'm just going to move this a little bit, see if this is going to work out. Here we go. Ah, good. Hej Matilda. Vad roligt att du är här idag. So I'm just going to check out the angle for my table and it looks all right. Have some junk laying around here. So this is the drawing we're working with today. Ja, det var kul att du kommer ihåg. And I have already transferred it to this canvas. It's a smaller one, and as soon as I started working a bit with it, I changed my mind, or you know, that I got such a small one. It's about A5 size, a little bit smaller on the like my last junk journal, so I guess that's a format that I like, but it doesn't really work out very well for canvases, at least if this is the drawing you're going for. But I hope it's showing up on camera, sort of, at least, that I have transferred my drawing. And I did that like I had drawn the picture and I've inked it a little bit with a fine liner, and then I just drew a lot of this pencil stuff like this on the back, a lot, and then I used one of these ball tools. I don't have it here, it's in the kitchen, but I think you know what I'm talking about. I just put this on top of the canvas and just, you know, fasten it down so it wouldn't slide around, and then I traced the drawing again, so I had kind of a guideline to work with. And I have transferred the drawing to my computer as well. Actually, I just took a picture of it with my iPhone, so we're going to cut this up today, just to make it easier, because full tail is not in frame on the canvas. So I'm going to give this sort of a 3D effect, and maybe some of this piece here. And I'm not really a big mixed media person, because I haven't really tried it before, so this is really a big step for me to try this, and I don't have any of these fancy like spray paints or glimmer mists or anything that you know, the really good mixed media people are using. What I have to work with is like some acrylic paints I got from my mom, and it's copper and gold, and I'm going to use some gesso, and not this thread here, and yeah, I think that's about it from this box. At least I have some more paints, but mainly we're going to use watercolors, because that's what I use the most when I play. And we're going to use some laces and some fabrics and other stuff. And I have this, it's wood filler. It's like spackle, but it has acrylic in it. It's for filling cracks in, like between stuff in the wall, and it won't crack later on. Normal, or the normal stuff will crack, but this doesn't, so it's perfect for this kind of projects. And we have some very cheap glitter glue, oops, and then we're using normal stickles, or this is what we have to work with. And when you work like this, you know, it can be very great results, or it can just turn out like crap. So so we're just, you know, trying something new. Just seeing, I've watched some mixed media videos and like for layouts and canvases and stuff, and most of them are using like these very fancy spray paints and stuff, and I'm not really sure about if I really like mixed media. It's so new to me, so I didn't want to invest like $200 or something. It's expensive if you want more colors in, you know, stuff that I might not use later on. So that's just a dishwasher, if you're wondering, the sound in the background. And my husband went to the store, so if my son wakes up, I might have to run out just to comfort him, but I think he's sleeping very well today. He went to a birthday party with one of his friends, and they had lots and lots of sugar, of course, so he was very wind up when he came home. But he also fell asleep quite fast once we put him to bed, so I guess that's the upside of it all. So he has a birthday coming up, so we're going to have a party for him this weekend, but I haven't planned anything yet, so that's another of these things that could turn out really well, or, you know, be a real disaster. But I'm going to start planning on it, like tomorrow, or at least inviting people to make sure that no one is busy that day. So I thought this is what we should do, like have the tail hanging out a bit. And I was thinking that we could use, I have this amazing fabric. I've used this before for this purpose in another like mixed media canvas photo layout, and it turned out so gorgeous. Yeah, and of course we're using cheesecloth as well, because that's great for these kind of projects. And maybe some of this string thread thingy, or this. I'm not really sure what kind of colors we are going for. I was thinking that I'm going to mix my own colors. But we'll see. So I was thinking that the tail is going to be like one texture, and the fins are going to be another texture. And so I'm going to cut her here. It feels a little bit cruel. But I think it's okay. She's okay with it. So here's our fins and tails. Like that. And I guess maybe we could start with a background for it all. I think she's like sitting on a rock here, so I guess we could just draw the rock here behind her or something. There. And maybe it's popping up from the sea. Am I in frame now? Yeah. there's like water here. Yeah, I think that's where the water is. Something like that. And there's going to be like a horizon here, maybe, behind her. I think so. And before I traced the drawing, I used gesso just to give my paint something to grip onto. And I realize now that I don't have any water here, and that's like the basics for watercoloring. I always think that I'm so prepared, and then I just prove the opposite. So yeah, before we might do some texturing on the sides. I'm not really sure. I'm just going to pop out and grab some water. So here's some water, and I'm just, my husband is shopping for groceries. I'm going to ask him to get me some candy. Alright, so we're going to start out with trying to make some, I don't know, I don't think this is in frame. I'm going to move this stuff over here so you can see like the mixing of the colors too, because that's a kind of a big part of making watercolor painting, I guess. So I'm going to start out with the water, maybe, and I want like shades of green and blue, and I'm not anything like an expert when it comes to watercolors either. I'm just, yeah, experimenting like with everything else. I've watched some videos, but oh, yeah, you have some marble chocolate. I asked for the Fatser one with nuts this time, but I do like marble. Schweizernut is my favorite. Or is that Swiss nuts, perhaps? Doesn't sound as good in English, though. So this is our water. Maybe I should make like waves. I guess we could make highlights and stuff later on. Maybe I should have watched like a tutorial for water, because I guess that's really hard. Well, here's the water, and I guess it's not like that perfect edge from over the rock here, that it could be like some splashes and stuff. And I guess that there should be some moss and stuff on the rock as well, and some textures and things. Hold on a sec, I just have to fix the frame here. There we go. So, and yeah, what color is a rock? Black? perhaps. Let's start out with that. And, you know, you should always start out with light colors. So don't do what I just did. Here's some light colors. And you're getting our rock. Ja, tack så mycket.
Så.
Yeah, and I got some sand that's going to be perfect for this project as well. This is our nice china. So I'm just going for the base colors now. I guess I could add like highlights and stuff afterwards. This is probably going to be some more work than I expected. So we might not finish tonight, but we could try at least. I don't know if this counts like as commercials or something. I love chocolate. Yeah, I asked him before to get me some sand for this. I didn't know he was going to get me so much. I'll only need like a teaspoon or something. I'm going to paint between her little fingers. So there's a rock. So I guess we're going to start there. And I'm going to fill in the tail just to like get the feeling of the mermaid here. So I don't know, maybe we should go for like a green, bluish green tail, or I already have blue in the water, so it could be nice. Yeah, I'm going to go for the bluish, greenish turquoise tail, because I really love the color and it goes really well with this too. Yeah, I didn't expect a plate of sand. But all ways are good ways, except the bad ways, I guess. So, and we're going to like do some shadowing and stuff, I think. Maybe not. But here's the tail, and I guess I would like a little fold here where she's folding, like if it was you know, a mermaid skirt, the knees would be here, something like that, and it would be like a little fold here. But I guess that's not really. I don't know how these tails works. If it's like a fish tail or. Oh, tack så mycket.
Så god.
My hubby is so nice to me. So, and I guess the like bra cups or seashell cups could be the same color, so we're going for that. It's tough, you know, painting like this. I've never done it before. I should have practiced before, but you know, I'm not that kind of person. I'm the like go do it kind of person. At least when it comes to crafting, I just try stuff out, and a lot of stuff turns out like disasters, and some stuff, no, a lot of stuff turns out good as well, but you tend to remember the disasters more, I guess. So yeah, I think that, but if I make the tail blue, it's going to like, yeah, I changed my mind. I thought I had some tissue here somewhere. Here. This is the good part about watercolors, and like the downside of acrylics is that you can just wipe everything off, and even if it's dry, you can just wet it down again and wipe it off. Or not all of it, but most of it. So it's kind of great in that way. Acrylics just dry, so you can like paint over them, but you can't just remove it. So this is a start, and I was thinking that we could work on the tail. Oh, maybe I should show you that I also made some like stuff to play with in Fimo clay, or polymer clay, I think it's called. Yeah, some starfish. Oh, I broke this one. So, and this little anchor here, this little like octopus tentacle. I only have one though, so there was simply not enough time to make more, but this is lovely. I saw a tutorial for this. Can't remember the name though, but I thought this was adorable, so I made one. So I'm going to prep these with gesso so I can paint over them later. So that's also something that we're doing on this. Yes, and so we're going to use the, I was thinking that we could use this for like the fins perhaps, or for the tail, and paint over it. I think that's what we're doing. So I'm going to cut off the tail from the fins. It's really hard to talk today for some reason. So, but that's what we're doing here. And I don't know if could just glue it down, but I'm going to like trace around it somehow. With what are we using? Can use this gray glitter pen. Perfect. And you should really hold this down to make sure that nothing moves around. As you can see, it moves quite a bit underneath, so I'm sure there's a good way to stop it from doing that. And in a lifetime I might come up with something, but we're just trying it hardcore today. Making mistakes, so I'm just going to cut it out like messy first, and then, and I don't know, I can't find my little black sharp scissors. It's called Sharpie, and it has like the pointiest points on the shears. So I'm really sad that I can't find it, because I really love that scissors. I can like cut anything with it, and you know, it doesn't get dull, you can get really close with it without ruining your project. And so I made most of my fussy cutting with that scissor, and now it's gone. I think that it might be somewhere in my craft closet, but I've looked for it and I couldn't find it, so makes me kind of sad. So this is not a perfect fit, but it is kind of a fit. So this is a start. I think this is what we're doing here, but maybe we should cut it off here. I don't know what that is. Like this. Because I drew around those like rolls, or where the tail is attached to the body here, and I don't really want those. So I think that's kind of nice. That's what we're doing. So I'm going to add that. If I had some glue. Where's the glue? Yeah. I hate losing things, and I do it all the time. That's the best part about it, or the worst. That I have this really good PVA glue as well that I use all the time, and I think it's in the kitchen, so I'm going to have to go get it. There we go, and I got my ball tool as well, just in case we're going to need that, and I think we're probably going to need that, because I always have trouble. No, not today. Good. Must be the first time. Yeah, but I did forget my hairdryer, so we're going to have to go get that later on, not soon. So I'm just adding glue here because we're putting this here. Dun, 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 dun. Something like that. And I think we're going to use some of this stuff just to give it more of a 3D feeling. But I don't have, we're going to use a bad brush. I wouldn't suggest you use a good brush for this, because you'll ruin it. And this is just to make it a little bit more messy, and I'm filling out the gaps, because it's sort of a netting or tulle lace thing, and I'm just filling up the gaps a little bit. Like this, and I think it looks kind of nice. And you can still see the lace underneath it. Somehow, some way. I am. I forgot to make my like little guidelines on the table today. So it's kind of hard to know that if I am frame or not, but at least I can look at the stream to see what I did like half a minute ago. And I think it's going to turn out a little bit different after it has dried. Yeah, it was my hair dryer that I was supposed to go get before. But I forgot about my hair dryer, I forgot about everything else. That's how it usually is. So, and for the tail, I was thinking that we could just paint over all of this too, but I want to give it some texture as well. We could use some tissue, I guess. I have like this kind of, it's is it called tapestry glue? You use it for wallpapers. So I'm using the same brush because I am kind of messy, but I should remember to put the cap back on. So we're going for like small pieces of tissue paper. Oh, I'm happy you got the inspiration from my junk journals, Matilda. And I guess that's part of why I'm doing this. I think it's a great thing to inspire other people. And because I get so much inspiration from other people as well. So I think it's a great thing to share what you're doing. And for the company, you know, as I usually say, that it's really nice to have like a craft buddy while you're crafting. Yeah, I like the company. So it's kind of nice. So we're just going to brush on. But I'm not really sure about the hand though, so I'm not going to make this as dimensional as the tail and the fin. Because I want like the illusion that she's sitting on the rock and the hand is going to rest on the rock. So I want that to look like it's on top, but I still want like the texture on the rock. If you know what I'm saying. So we're just brushing stuff on here, and as you can see, my glue is dissolving the watercolor paint underneath. So we're going to have to wait for everything to dry later, or I'm going to ask my hubby to get my dryer for me later, so I won't have to go go get it. Go catch it, like my dryer is running around messing things up. I think this glue is too dry in a way, because it won't really stick. Get it like directly from the can packaging. I don't know, box, bucket. Dun, 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 dun. Gluing stuff on a rock. Dun, dun, dun. I don't know if I think this looks like a rock, but some more paint and some more stuff. Maybe some sand. We're going to work in some sand mixed with some gesso on top of this. And I think that's going to do the trick. But this is just for some texture. And I think I'm like in one of those start, what do you say, in the first phase of a project, you know, when you feel that you have no idea what you're doing, because that would describe my feelings exactly for this project. I just thought that the idea felt very cool, and you know, I wanted to try something that I have never done before. If I was smart, I could have, you know, tried it first before I did it on the stream, but yeah. I already told you about that. But I have like the feeling that it's not going in anywhere, and it looks very strange, but it's very usual for me to feel that way, and it's very unusual for it to be a disaster. You know, usually it might not turn out exactly what I figured or what I wanted to be or what I, you know, expected, but most of the times it turns into something kind of good anyway. So it's not that I'm worried, it's just that I don't really have like an end image in my head like what I usually have when I work with mini albums and junk journals and yeah, the usual stuff that I do. And I guess that when I made my first junk journal, I felt the same way. But on the other hand, I was more prepared and I wasn't live streaming it, so it actually took me a lot more time than my journals do now, just because yeah, I had to like make up a way to do it my way, if I might. So we have the texture of the rock here, and it looks kinda rock-like. So I'm just going to leave that for a little bit to dry off, and going to clean out my brush because that's good. And I was thinking that I wanted like her ear to be dimensional, so we are going to cut out her hair. Dun, 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 like this, and like the head here. I think I might want the hair to be dimensional as well. I think that we're going to use the string for that, to make it like string hair. So, and that might turn out like, you know, it can be super nice and it can be another disaster. So we're just going to have to trust our instincts. So I got this stuff, and we're getting a lot of it just to like figure out, I don't know really what to do about this. How long is her hair? Something like that. And now I realize that we're going to have to make it look like a normal hairline, like in a wig you have a normal hairline, and I'm not really sure how to do that, so we just have to experiment a bit. And this might really be, you know, too much for me to handle. Let's see if I can do something else here. It's not unusual for me to scrap an idea once I've started out and realized that it's not going to work. So let's do something like this. I think I'm just going to glue this on, like slap it on there. We'll see what happens, like leave some strands opened, and yeah, this is really going out there. I have no idea now what I'm doing. So this is going to be very interesting. But we're experimenting, so that's okay. So we're like taking some strands like this. And it's mermaid hair, so it's very messy and like salt sprayed. Yeah, I really like how it looks, because we're not going for making like a full head of hair in that sense. We're just going to make like the illusion of hair, so I'm going to fill in the rest with paint. But we're going to, this is going to be like the part here, but I'm not sure really how to handle the other side here. If we're going to make like strands like this, maybe we could try that. Yeah, I think that's going to work. Is my head in the way? No? Hope not. Oh, the glue has dried. That's okay. We're going to add some more glue. And I might, you know, leave the ends outside of the canvas. I'm not really sure yet. I think this is a really nice like texture for keeping wiping my nose. It's because I have an itch. I'm not I don't have a cold or anything. And I think that we're going to forget about the ear, actually. I might add a starfish instead. I have like a tiny starfish. And I think it's going to work just to do this. Like adding to the messiness, I don't know. So it looks like it's blowing in the wind somehow. Yeah. And then when I paint it, it's going to be give it a nice depth. Might have to add gesso on top of it just to seal it. Yeah, I think that's what we're doing. And I realized that when I put the cap on, my glue bottle, it like pushes dried glue inside the opening. So I decided to just do this instead every time, like with a new blob of hot glue sealing the bottle, so it won't dry up again. Because like last stream I was about to have a tantrum because I just couldn't get anything out of the tube, and it was so insanely annoying. So here's some gesso, and we're going to put that on top of the hair just to seal it down and give a nice surface for the paint to grab onto. And I have already prepped the canvas underneath with gesso, so it's going to match, you know, in color. Oops. I want the strands to like poke outside of there a little bit. I'm not sure though, because it doesn't really look as full when it peeps out over the edge like that. Maybe, yeah, I could just let them wrap around the edge like this. I think that's what we're doing. So I can like paint the hair wrapping around the edge instead. Good to do some more here. I'm kind of nervous actually for the actual painting part. I'm not really sure. You know, I've done some coloring now, quite a bit of coloring. So it shouldn't really be a problem to do coloring on like this drawing, but it's such a big step outside the box, so yeah, I have no idea how it's going to turn out. It's it's fun and scary at the same time. Dun, 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 dun. I'm not really sure about the rock anymore. Might have to change that, but we're going to save that to the end in that case. And I don't really know how it's going to look once it's dried as well. It's kind of hard to know, so we're putting some gesso on top here as well. I'm not sure if I am like removing the, I'm going to have to wipe some of that off because it hides the lace too much. Or maybe it's it was the shine, because I think you can see the lace now again. There we go. So I'm gonna have a sip of tea. And I was thinking, like, she's holding like this little, I don't know if it's a globe or maybe a huge pearl or something. I haven't really decided, but I could just paint it and then add some glossy accents on top. I didn't get much glue out of my bottle, so I pressed it a little and I got some glue in my hand. Oh. Yeah, luckily I haven't really had that problem yet. At least I haven't get it so hard to talk today in my hair. I have got it on my projects though, when I like get so angry and I push the bottle the hardest I can, and suddenly the plug that's holding the glue in is popping out, and I get like the biggest squeeze of glue ever. So I get glue everywhere, over my project and over my hands. That's the worst, because then I get glue stains all over the place. Like, the reason I started sandpapering my journals, like the first one, is that I got a glue stain on the velvet, and glue stains on velvet looks like crap, and it's so hard to get rid of, because when you start like dragging it and pushing it and stuff, then you ruin the velvet. So I sanded over that, and I sanded all over it just to, you know, get the glue stain off and to hide the mistake I made. But it turned out kind of nice. So in the end, I sanded the other junk journal as well, just to give it the tattered look that I really liked. So yeah, I was thinking that we should try making the tail now. And maybe we should just take some paper. We have some, could use like an old book page. Could that be kind of cool? I think so. I think we should do that. And it might show and it might not show that there's letters on it. So let's do that. I think this is doomed. You should glue it down or something. Or trace around it. Sometimes it's just good to do things properly. I'm not a person that does things properly Usually I do it like the easiest way possible. You know, it was like one of the things that made me, what do you say, second guess the scrapbooking when I started scrapbooking, was that there's quite a bit of measuring involved. You can't just go with eye measuring. Usually you can't if you want your projects to be straight. And I do like measure the base measurements, and a lot of times I just line up the paper and cut it and stuff, but there's still a lot of measuring going on. But once you have done it, it gets easier with time. So I think that's kind of nice. So I had like the best idea ever. I'm going to use this book paper as like the tail, and I'm going to glue it on top of another paper, but that's not what's so great about it. The best thing is that I'm going to make like the textured parts on this with glossy accents, so it's not going to cover the words on the paper. And then I'm going to lightly gesso it, and I'm going to use watercolors on top, so the letters are going to shine through the paper, and I think I'm going to leave it like that if possible. But I think that it's possible to leave it like that. So that's what we're doing. So we're going to get like a letter finned mermaid. And everything else is bright white, so I'm going to have to like white this up with gesso, but that's going to be fine. And I might use this what do you say, this stuff, this toe lace is what the word I'm looking for the bra, or whatever that is, seashell bra. So I think, and maybe we could like give it a little movement as well. That would be kind of cool, like this or something. Yeah, so I'm going to glue this to something more just to back it a bit. Like, I think I have some cardstock here. We could use that. Like that, maybe. I don't know, this side is right side up, because you know, you shouldn't like trace on the side that's going to be up. You should like trace on the other side. But I haven't really learned the basics of crafting, I think. And I think the safest way is to like glue it like this, or like this. Yeah, this is what we're doing. So I'm not going to glue it on top of this because it might shine through, and I don't want that. So we're going to put it, because for some reason if the paper is kind of sheer, the backside will shine through, even like the backside on the actual paper, and not just the paper you're gluing it on, if I'm making any sense right now. So if that paper is white, I found out that if you take like darker paper, it's not going to shine through as much. but it gives you like another color. And we have glue stains. Woo! I'm going to cut that piece off so it doesn't really matter. That's really, really annoying. And this is like my temporary replacement scissor. It's not, you know, anything like my Sharpie, but it's a small scissor, so I can get in really close with it. At least, actually for nails, if I didn't already say that. But still kind of sharp, so works for this. Works for this. So cutting this out here. I'm getting rid of that. We might have to compromise with the tail. I mean the fin on the like very slim pieces of the fins, because they're going to stick outside the canvas, so they might get kind of fragile. I'm going to use like the matte varnish stuff on top, but watercolors bleeds a lot, so it might ruin the project. We might have to look into that before, because, and if I have, you should only have one layer of that stuff, because otherwise it will like take the colors out of your project. It gets like it gets kind of white on top of your project. So, and I don't think that's what we're looking for here, even though the colors are going to be a little bit muted. I think we still want them to look nice, so I'm going to put this on top here, and we're going to make like ridges with my clear gloss, and I have that in this box, so not too far away, and we might have to use something else than this, but I think it's going to be perfect. So, and it looked kind of like this. I'm going to trace this very lightly. And then I might have to help this to dry. Can you see what I'm doing now? And hopefully it's not. No. I need to poke something in this too. That's like the everyday thing now. I haven't really used this for quite a long time, so I guess that's why. If I like get as much as possible the project like down, or the product, I was trying to say, we're getting there. I can see it like coming up here. Oh, there we go. So this stuff that's coming up is like the thing clogging the bottle. I think, at least, but it's a very tiny hole. I'm going to have to. I can really see the like little rocks that's in there. And the downside of poking them down is that they are still in the bottle. So yeah, the screw is here. So let's see if we can do this now without any more bloopers. And this line looks so neat and amazing. This is what I like with this product. That's just my husband. I think he's playing Counter-Strike Global Offensive. And it doesn't really sound like it's going very well at the moment. So there's like the little ridge here on the fin. I was going to show you, but here. And maybe we should do like these things as well. It's going to look nice. No, I don't want a bubble here. Like that. So I'm going to put this aside to dry. I think it might be maybe a little bit too thick in the middle here. Maybe I can like stroke it out a bit. Yeah, you're just going to have to be happy with that. So I'm going to put this aside to dry somewhere like here. And the next thing I was thinking could be, is the hair dry yet? No. We could work on the chest area. I'm going to build it up a bit with some paper, or is that like, no, we're not going to build up the chest area. It's just a bit corky, like look at the boobies. So I'm going to take this tissue paper and I'm going to build up like these parts here. That's like wrapping around the waist. Or maybe, you know, the tail is dimensional, so maybe I think the chest should probably be dimensional as well. Maybe not as much as it could be. And yeah, I think so. I'm going to take some, we could roll up some of this stuff to make like the, or just, no, just some tissue. Yeah, let's do that, like this. Something like that. I'm almost running out of glue. Guess we could use the other like wallpaper stuff instead. So we wet it down more. Because I want the illusion that it's wrapping around the body rather than just ending here. But I think that we will have to fix that with the paint job afterwards. And we're going to have to like remove this pink stuff that's peeping everywhere. I don't know what this is. I don't know what this is, but it's going off here. Getting off here. I don't know. I don't know what I'm talking about again. There, and we are rolling this up. Using this again. I guess the painting is the fun part. And you know, if you want more, what do you say, pigment in the paint, if you are using watercolors, you can mix in some glue, because then the paint kind of stays. Otherwise, if you use too much water, or if you're using water, then the paint will not stay in your brush. Instead, it will, yeah, you get a lot more pigment if you add glue. So that's a great way if you want the paint to cover instead of be like have kind of a sheen look, you know, then when you can see what's underneath. Like here, this is see-through, and if you mix glue into the paint, then it will be more like acrylics. So here we have this little waist thing, whatever that is, and I think that we have like the illusion that it wraps around the body rather than just like that. And yeah, I am going to make the chest area dimensional, just not as much as you could expect. But I'm not really sure how. I'm just going to have to experiment a bit. Either like this, like making, but if these are seashells, I don't really think that it will look the same as the tail, so we might use like rolled up tissue for that as well, and go for like the more of the seashell look. I could have, you know, just made this with clay instead, but I didn't think that far, and I took it out like an hour before the stream was about to start. So yeah, you should try the glue in the paint. It's really good way to get like where's my other brush now, to get the thick working paint. And I am going to like experiment with that too, so I'm going to show you in real life, or i praktiken. So let's see, I think that's going to look good. we're starting off here. And like spreading it out a bit here. I think this is going to do it. But I'm not sure if my paper is wet enough. We're going to have to see. So we're just going to keep going. I think this should be thicker. Goodness, this is really annoying. And this is like just the base. What's really going to be interesting, or what's going to give it like the soul, is the paint job, and that's like the part that worries me the most. But eventually we're going to get there too. But I think that this looks really nice. I could, you know, add something on top of this just to give it more texture. But on the other hand, I think I like it the way it is. Here's the same thing, that I need like the illusion that it's wrapped around a round wrapped around a round object, like a boob. So we're going to have to fill this up. I might use the like wall stuff here on top of that. The wood filler. Not sure you saw my question. Maybe not so easy to see when it's only me writing. Yeah, exactly. And I'm so focused on what I am doing, so I'm sorry, I lost my thread. Yeah, I'm so focused on what I'm doing, so I forget to look up and read the chat. So, and my computer is standing some bit away from me, so I have to like really pay attention to be able to read. But do you ever like video chat with crafty friends on Skype while you're crafting? I've never done that before, but I guess that it would be very similar to having like an actual craft buddy next to you or in the same room, so that could be fun. Is that an invitation? Yeah, of course we could do that sometime. It would be fun. Yeah, I kind of miss. I used to have a craft buddy, but it's years ago now. She moved to Gotland, and I guess we kind of lost the contact before that. But yeah, I kind of miss that. It was fun to have a craft buddy or like a crafty friend. We were friends, you know, outside of that, of the crafting as well. So, but yeah, stuff happened and we grew apart. I guess that's what happened to friendship once you get different lives and you like different things and stuff you do, and you like, if you don't do the things that you used to do together, or you know what you have in common, then you'd kind of drift apart. So I guess it's a little sad, but I think that's what happens to friendships a lot of times. But it's kind of sad. We were like friends from 3 or 4 years old until we were like 22, 23 or something, or I was 22. And she was like a couple of years younger, or is. She's not dead. We're just not, we don't keep in touch anymore. So, and it's kind of sad. But it's just regular life, I guess. So I'm going to add some of this stuff on top. I'm going to use the brush again. Would be fun to add your site favorite on Facebook or something, just to share inspiration and have someone to share. Oh, of course, yeah, that would be fun. You could just message me on YouTube. Now that I know that I'm getting a private message, I could check it. So you could just give me give me your email or something, so we could get in touch on Facebook. Of course. Because that would be fun to have like a Skype craft buddy. So what are you working on at the moment, Matilda? I'm not sure I like these boobs. Let's hope the paint job can like save this somehow. That is sad when this sort of thing happens with friends. I mean, of course, some friends you don't have forever, but still, yeah, exactly. It's very sad. And I guess it's never too late to get back in touch, but from experience, it's not really the same thing for some reason. It's like once you've lost what you had in common, it just gets very awkward. And yeah, so it's kind of hard to go back to where you were, but I guess it's because everybody changed, and so like the people you were when you were friends don't exist anymore, if I'm making any sense. It's the same thing when you are in a relationship and you can like look at each other 3 years later and realize that none of us are the same people we fell in love with. So, oops. So relationships end with people growing apart. I'm working on that junk journal. I've been trying my mom's old sewing machine to sew on tickets, tags, and all this on pages. So much fun. Yeah. Oh, the decorating is the fun part. The decorating is the fun part. It's like when you are working on something and like the sewing the pages together and stuff. It can be so boring, and you're just looking forward to when the fun part is going to start. And I think that the decorating is part of that. So I'm just going to poke this to see if it's dry, and it's obviously not, and I think I might have ruined it. Don't poke it. And you described it so well when talking about friendship or relationships when you grow apart. Yeah, it's just a sad part of life, but I think that it is part of life. And it's important that you have both the like fun parts and the sad parts. Oh, I just put both of my brushes in like the gesso I saved. Good work there. So I'm going to clean it up a little bit here. And I've lost the little glue blob that I had, so I'm going to put the cap on. And have another piece of chocolate. We're going to start with some more of the like groundwork. It's still kind of wet. I'm going to try some gesso and sand just to see how that looks. I'm going to take the tissue this time and not my gesso paper. And like the sand mixed the gesso, it looks kind of nice. So I'm just going to put that on top of my rock. And I think it makes it look a lot more rocky. No pun intended. And I've seen, oh, I can't really remember her name now. A very talented lady from, like, is it Holland or I'm not really sure. I can't remember. She makes the most beautiful shabby chic stuff. With could I just ask how old are you? I know you're not supposed to ask women that. Yeah, but that's okay. I think that's like the a rule that goes for men mostly. But I am 32 today. Sounds very dodgy. No, my birthday is in September, so I'm going to be 32 for at least a couple of months more before. I actually started to grow gray hair a couple of years ago, and it was like 2, so right here, so I just picked them away and pretended like nothing happened. And now I realize that I have like 50 all over my head, or maybe 100 or something, like gray hair. My god, I am 30 and I'm about to, I don't know, but I'm told that my grandmother had like pure white hair when she was 40, so I really have something to look forward to. And if I get pure white hair, I'm going to dye it like Smurf blue or something, because I understand that that's like the hardest color to dye your hair. Or just keep it pure white. That's also very, 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 very hard to achieve. So might I ask, how old are you? You look younger on your profile picture, at least, than me. I'm not sure, but it's kind of hard to guess also from a picture nowadays, or any day. So I think this looks really, really nice. Really, really looks like a rock. So that's great. I don't know if this will stick there. 25, almost 26. Like, I'm 25 and a half and I'm 32 and a half. Yeah. It's a good age to be 25. You're like still considered a young adult, but you're still an adult. Talking about gray hair, my old hairdresser told me just like 1-2 years ago that I should start coloring my hair, because soon I probably will have gray hair. She scared me, don't want that. Yeah. And on the other hand, if you are like a blonde, then it won't be so obvious. If you have gray hair, then you shouldn't dye. If you have dark hair, maybe you could light your hair or something. I'm like a natural, I don't know what the color is called in English, like a dark reddish blonde, like strawberry blonde, I think. And I colored my hair with henna, and then no hairdresser wanted to touch me because I wanted to go lighter again. So I bleached it by myself with like box dyes from a drugstore or just a grocery store, and it gave like my hair the texture of a bristle brush or like one of these brushes, but I am blonde again and it didn't explode. So, or again, but I am blonde. I had like every color possible on my hair, and now I wanted to try to have blonde hair. So, and the grays are not that obvious. It's only that I've realized that the gray hairs have like a different texture. So when they don't start to grow, your hair don't turn gray like on a living strand, or living strand. It's like when the hair dies and falls off your head, then the new hair that grows out will like be gray or white and have a different texture. It's like more like the hair you grow on your body. Very like coarse, and so at first when it's like this length, it pokes like straight up from my head. It's kind of strange. So on the other hand, it's very easy to like pluck it off. It doesn't really grow, or at least those in the front. Then I realized I had like a lot of grays in the back too, so I kind of gave up the picking part. But yeah, so I'm going to text my hubby and ask him to come in with my hair dryer and see if it's possible. Let's see if that works. I'm going to have a nice piece of chocolate. guess we could start on the paint job behind her. The paint that's not wet. We should make like a blue sky. Or at least we could try that. I'm not sure about this color though. Tack så mycket. Maybe I should have like masked the parts that I don't want to paint. I'm not really sure, but I do know that I want this to be like lighter on the horizon here. Yeah, like that, so it kind of tones down here. The in-between part. Am I in frame now? There we go. To do a little bit more color here. So I'm actually going to dry this, and while I'm drying I'm going to mute my microphone so you don't have to listen to the hair dryer, because it sounds terrible on camera. So I'm going to remove that. Oh, as you can see, I have all my lights and my computer and my glue gun here, so I'm going to have to pick one. I'm pulling out, but at least I have battery on my computer, so that's the one I'm doing. So I'm going to mute you for a little bit. Okay, so I think that it's kind of dry now. looking at this one, I don't think this is dry, but I'm going to try to dry this as well with a hair dryer, just so we don't have to. Yeah, and I did that again. I don't know what's wrong with me. I could have done this with hot glue instead, I guess, but on the other hand it wouldn't be as smooth as the clear gloss. So I'm going to mute you a little bit more. So this is as far as I can get with the hairdryer, I guess. And because I poked it, there's some like texture to the surface. We're going to call it texture. So I'm just going to gesso on top of this. And I don't really think that it matters that I'm painting on my table. This is actually covered with some kind of plastic. It's a piece of what do you say? Kitchen. It's the thing you have in your kitchen. You put stuff on. Like the working surface in the kitchen. It's made for that, and this is what we have in our kitchen, and it's like a leftover piece of that. Yeah, I'm so amazingly good at English sometimes, so I surprise myself. That's really, really good. So I don't know if you can see what I'm doing. Yeah, a piece of what I'm doing, at least. So yeah, I think it looks kind of nice. We're going to keep it like this, and you know, it might turn into something else once I glued it on and like the painting starts. But I think it looks kind of nice, so we're just going to hot glue it on top of here, like this. Yeah. It's so warm here. I'm just gonna go and check if I can get a fan in my room. Yeah, you should do that. It gets really warm in here as well when I keep the door closed. And it's been really, really warm today. It was a very nice surprise, actually. It's like summer is finally coming, and I'm really happy about that. I love summer. And my son loves swimming, and the local pool is going to open It usually opens like in the middle or the end of June. So once it opens, we are going to go there like every day, and he's probably going to get super tan, and I'm probably going to get super red everywhere, even though I use sunscreen, and I'm going to have to use like sunglasses and a hat and like, oh, look at that. I ruined it even more because it wasn't entirely dry. And this is what happens when you use a low heat glue gun like me. And glue sticks doesn't really fit. And I didn't really know that there was like different sizes of glue sticks until I bought these ones. They were cheaper, so I got them, and the result is that my glue gun has a hard time pushing them. So I have to like squeeze and stuff. Oh yeah, we were going to add a little wave here, and I totally forgot about that. So let's just leave it like this then. It's a fin, it doesn't do that much. So I'm not really sure what the next step should be. I think that we're going to start with the scary part, like the actual painting. And we have done some like background sky here. And eventually we're going to have to go into more body. Okay, so we're going in on the body now. And I was thinking that I'm going to give her a little bit of a tan, maybe. I guess mermaids should have a tan. Actually, making like skin color is the hardest thing ever. Like portrait. I don't know if I have this set of watercolor pencils that have like, I'm just going to check my color on this paper here. No, I don't think I like that. And there's like this pre-made flesh toned colors, and I don't really think I like them actually. I think they look very pink, in more like a pig fashion than a human fashion. So, and as you can see, I usually mix like brown. I don't know if you can see, you can't see my paint, but I usually mix like these colors for making a flesh tone. So we're going to start over, and I should really switch out my water as well, because it's really blue, but I don't really have the patience, and it doesn't really matter that much. And I might even change my mind. We'll see. Either I make like a flesh tone, or maybe I make her like green or something like that. But I like this kind of brown because it's looking fleshier already. took this one at first, and it's more of a mustardy color. And we're taking a little bit of red just to give it a little bit more pink. Just some more water, and we have our flesh tone, I think. Yeah, I think that's fleshy enough. So I'm just going to go in and cover her. Yeah, I think you can see what I'm doing. I should use a bigger brush here. Not this one. Let's take this one. Otherwise we're going to have to work forever. And you know, the downside of this is that I am going to have to mix the color again kind of soon. There we go. Now we're going to have to mix it again because I didn't make enough. This is like the hardest part, watercolors. I think there is like kits you can buy with like pre-mixed flesh tones as well. But this is like more of an artist kit that my mom gave me because she's an artist that makes like actual art, which is like totally different from what I'm doing. And now the paint turned way too red and way too dark, so I'm going to have to mix more white into it. The problem with white paint is that it covers your lines if you are coloring, for example. And you use white, then it shows sort of that you have white, and it covers like the line art of the thing that you're coloring. So then you need to be much more careful where you are like using the paint. So you can see that it turned into a different flesh tone, but I think that's alright because I think it's kind of a good flesh tone. So, and some of the fingers here turned out a little bit blue, but I don't really think that matters that much. Something's going on with my throat. You know, when you talk so much for, I don't know, is it an hour straight? Oh, good evening, Christina. I'm happy to see you again. I think I've been, I don't know, talking for an hour straight or something like that. It's actually almost 2 hours, so it's not so strange that my voice gets tired, but I think this is so much fun, so I just want to keep doing it forever. So this is as far as we've gotten right now, and I think it looks, you know, so much better just to get some color on her. And you know, the scariness of it all kind of went away when I started. I was a bit scared at the beginning. So I'm looking for, oh, the big brush is here. I was thinking about the rock, and I think that we're going to use like some grayish color for that. I have like this bluish gray stuff, but yeah, I think that we're going to stick with watercolors and like add stuff on top instead. And I just got some black into my white. That's like almost a criminal thing to do when you're working with paint. To like get darker colors into the white. You always start with the white. Always. So dun, 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 dun. Some of the rock here. I have to use more water. The sand really sucks it in. And I don't know if it's going to be tough doing shading on the rock, but I'm just going to do like the usual stuff, that it's darker around the edges, just to give it like a curve. But then again, I'm not going to be able to finish today, even though I would like to stay up all night. I have some stuff to do tomorrow, so but we could keep going for maybe half an hour more, something like that, before I have to get ready for bed and stuff. So I'm filling up my rock here. And yeah, the interesting thing about watercolors is that it changes color once it has dried. So you never really know how it's going to end up until your project has dried. And it like behaves differently if you paint on it when it's wet, or if you paint on, like if you're painting again on dry paint. And so if you know what you're doing, it gives you a lot of opportunities to get like different, make the paint to behave in different ways. And if you don't know what you're doing, like myself many times, then you get surprises. And I think that's nice sometimes and not so nice other times. So I'm going to add some more color to the tail, and I think that we're going to use this. Yes, I like this. It could have made it lighter, but I think I really like how it sinks into the lace. It gets very visible. You know, I wasn't sure when it was white, but now when I can see it like this. I think it looks really, really nice. So I'm going to keep it like this. But I think I'm going to use more water here. So I'm now going to add some more shading to this as well, just to make it more, look more round and stuff. And there's going to be shading on the rock, and there's going to be shading around this like thing that wraps around the body. And we should have prepped this with gesso, of course, and I forgot to do that, so it's going to sink in a lot into the paper. I'm going to add gesso to this actually. And of course you shouldn't use like expensive watercolor brushes on top of for adding gesso, but I'm going to do that because I am going to remember to clean my brush, so it won't really matter. So I'm hoping you're having fun, ladies. Going to pause just to read chat again. Yeah, I was hoping to see you tonight, Christina. So yeah, I'm happy that you could pop in, even though that I might not be streaming for, you know, it's a lot of long time from now. No, I'm getting more and more confused as we go. And this is tea. I just need to tell you that. Yes, see, I've missed some on the shoulder here. Here. So, and I'm going to help this along just to dry. So I'm going to mute you again, and we are oh yeah, I'm happy to hear you are having fun, and I think it's great that you gave me your information, so we can have like a Skype scrap date later on. It would be fun. Yeah, so I'm going to mute you now for the so she is completely dry, and I'm going to color in the tail as well. And I think that we are using the same color on the tail, but I'm going to do it kind of differently later on. I might mix some paint and some glue just to on some parts. So I still want the letters to shine through, because I like the look of that. but maybe on the ridges here I'm going to use some glue just to get in some more paint there. And like for some, I don't think that the little ridges that I made are showing up as much as I had hoped. Maybe I should use more paint and water. But the paper is bubbling up here, so the canvas is very, I don't know if you can say forgiving when you use water, especially when it's prepped with gesso, but even though I prepped this, the paper bubbles up. So yeah, I don't know if it's not dry enough or something, but yeah, but I think this turned out kind of nice, and I'm going to enhance like the ridges with paint that's mixed with yeah, and we're going to do the boobies as well. In this like sea green. Is this the same color? No, this is more blue. We need more green to get like the turquoise. There's our color. It's like the mixing thing again. So here we are. Yeah, and that turned out kind of different than I expected, but it's not super bad or super anything. It's it just is. So we're going to have to work with what we have, but I think it looks kind of nice. And we're going to add this to the like ridge wrapping thing here as well. Yes, I like that. And I think I'm going to like paint. I made these little, if I can find the tail, little ridges here. I'm going to paint them in later on, I think, on this part, because it kind of adds to the roundness. On the other hand, I don't have to paint it there because it actually is round, so I'll have to think about that. Of all the brushes, this one is the best one, and of course the most expensive one that I own. I don't know how much it was, but there's something, it's worth mentioning, I guess, when you're working with watercolors in particular, that expensive brushes is so much better than, you know, you can, if you're using like bad brushes, you can actually believe that you are a bad painter or that you can't really paint, and then you switch up to better brushes and suddenly you like advanced a lot. And I guess that's something where it goes for everything, that you should have like decent tools or whatever. But I bought like a pack of brushes from Panduro that was made for it was made for watercolors, and it said that it wasn't for advanced watercoloring, but I don't really think that that's what I'm doing. And I tried to paint with them and they were really horrible. It was like, yeah, maybe for kids, that kind of brushes. So because when your brushes are wet, this is what they're supposed to look like. There should be like a point to them. And this one is like the worst brush I have. I don't even know why I kept this, because it's super bad, because this is what it looks like when it's wet. So I can make like a better line with both these brushes that are like so much thicker than with this one. So that's something about brushes. So I'm kind of scared to go in at the eyes because I'm not really sure what to do about them. Maybe I should use like a fine liner to start. I don't know where I have my fine liner at the moment. I have one that's really good, but I don't know where it is actually. I could go in with, yeah, I think that I should use like this, maybe this brush. I could try that. I'm going to try to make some eyebrows. I'm going to start there and see how it turns out. And if it's terrible, then I know that I can't work with this. Going in. Well, I don't think it's that bad. So I am going to start doing something to the eyes. And I'm not really sure if I should use black, or because on the drawing I just made like this, more like a lizard eye maybe, and I think that's going to be, I'm not sure I like the lizard eye, but it adds to the like supernatural feeling of her, that she's not a human, she's more like, but on the other hand I wouldn't like a fish eye. So, but we're going to start out with the outline of the eye. And as it turns out, I think that at least I have like, the tip is fine enough for this. I just hope that I'm not messing it up too much. So there's like an eyelid in the drawing, and I'm not really sure if I should put that on top of this. I'm going to try to make like the pupil that I have. Yeah, and if this doesn't turn out as I wanted to, I'm just going to like cover it with gesso and go over it again. Oh, I think it's too wet. This is actually kind of scary. So here's the pupil. On this eye, we do like a very lizard looking eye here. I I guess the eyelid should be like that. So we're going to let this dry a little bit first, because I think that I can't stop poking it, but it's not horrible. We're going to go in with a dry brush here and just pick up some of the paint. So we have like the part that's going to be colored in the iris. It's going to be white. Yeah, I'm not sure about this. I might have to go in with a fine liner, but it's a start. Oh, thank you, Matilda. More chocolate. I'm going to try the lips a little bit, just to like outline where they are going to be. And that's also like a hard part, I guess. One mistake that I tend to do a lot is making them too red. It's the same thing, like unless you're wearing lipstick, your lips usually like match your nipples, and they're often, you know, not very red, more like pinkish or darker skin tone brown or something. So it's not really what you're thinking of when you're painting lips or are going to paint lips, but yeah, this is really hard too. You know, I'm not very experienced when it comes to like drawing and painting, and this is a face like on an angle, which makes it kind of hard, because it means that one side you see more than the other side. Like this part is on a profile and this part is what you're actually seeing, so it gets really, it's hard. And if you're thinking like reality, her mouth is so huge, but it's not a you know, like reality based picture. It's a mermaid. So, but yeah, I think that's kind of decent. It's a very plump lip, but you know, so I've heard that mermaids are very beautiful, luring men into the depth of the sea. I guess you need to be very beautiful if you're going to lure anyone anywhere. Looking at it that way. So I was thinking that I'm going to shade her skin a little bit more. Just like the eye outlines here. And I wanted to give her like a little fold here, like she has some little belly fat, because I think a mermaid really needs some fat if she's like swimming in the sea and stuff. Some shading here, I guess. Some shading here. And here on the inside of the arm. Outside of the arm. I'm going to blend this. The inside here of the arm. Oh, why is it so hard to start a new project? Yes, I know, that's like the hardest part. And I was talking about that before, how when you have started a new project and it feels like it's not going to be anything ever, that you're just, you know, you're just working and nothing is happening, and then suddenly, like, I don't know, halfway through, then you look at it, hopefully, and feeling like it really turns into something, and that it's going to be something good. And I guess that's kind of the case with my mermaid here. I think she turns out better and better, just the more I'm working on her. This is actually like the first time I've done any drawing or anything on a canvas, and I think I really like it. Actually, I'm going to do this a lot more, and maybe I'm going to do it with acrylics too, because yeah, it covers much more and it gets, but, and I like the dimensional thing as well, like adding textures and things to your project. So I'm going to work with this more in the future. It's fun. It's really fun, actually. So much fun. But there's something about the canvas. I think it looks a little bit dirty. I'm not really sure why. Maybe it's that, yeah, probably because it has been lying around on the kitchen table for a few days. I like started out with the mermaid a couple of days ago and did the prepping and stuff, and then I left it out. So I guess it has like picked some dirt along the way. But that's also something you have to live with when you're working. And I'm not really sure what guess it should be some shading here. We might have to pick up some color here. I think it just looks like she's wearing a very tight, like, turtleneck. You see, this is how easy it is to change something you've done with watercolors. So here we go. I think that it's because she's missing the air. And I was thinking about, I think I'm going to add the air. It's just, we're going to do it with some tissue and just some paper. Here, I'm going to use this little strip here and this little strip here. See if we can make like that pointy mermaid ear. because on the drawing it's connected like with the jawline. The jawline is here, and then it like keeps on going into the ear. So I think that I'm going to do the same here, like the ear is going here, and that's why I think she looks so naked. So I'm just wiping off here to get more of a dry base for the ear. And we're using, let's see if I have some scraps of the cardstock here somewhere. Like the smallest piece in the world. And like the smallest ear in the world. I should have, you know, worked in a big, larger format. But it's too late now, I need to finish. And next time I'm definitely going to work bigger for the simplicity. So, and I'm just going to add some hair on top of this to like cover the earlobe. Is that what it's called? Like this part. Because I don't think that, or maybe it works with a tissue. Yeah, I think it does. We're going to add more glue here. Just like that for our mermaid ear. And like ears, they, you know, sometimes you need to look at what you're doing to, I mean, to have like a reference picture, to know what you're going to do, because this is freaking hard to make a three-dimensional ear. And a normal ear would like fold in like this to give it sort of a, but we're just going to let this part peep out and cover this with more hair, because I think it gets a bit too hard otherwise. There we go, that's what's missing. And it's like the same, the jawline here, and it like keeps going into the ear part. So I'm going to add some additional hair, hair here. Some hair here. Oh, I folded it. I really love how she's starting to stand out of the canvas. Yes. And I guess that's the mixed media part. And that's what I love about mixed media as well. That it kind of comes alive in a totally different way than if you're just doing a painting. And I think this This turned really nice. So let's do some strands here. And we're adding some gesso on top of this just to make it a little nicer. Like so maybe this is going to fly like in front. I think this is a strand that's going to go like that in front of the shoulder. And like this. I was thinking to try to give it like the flow actual hair. Something like this. Yes. And then I'm going to add some gesso on top. Just to seal it in there. Make it easier to give it some color later on. We're gessoing the ear as well. I'm going to give it the right color. And I think it's all right that like some of the skin is shining through there, because I don't want it to be like block hair. I want it to be like flowy and stuff, if I'm making any sense. Yeah, we get some little fuzz here. Just going to paint over it. And it looks like there's some paint left in my brush, but it's okay, we're going to like paint it over. And gesso is actually like glue mixed together with chalk, I think it is. I watched like a video for homemade gesso, and they mixed PVA glue, and it's the same stuff that I'm using. I don't remember what PVA actually stands for, but it's kind of a rubbery, what do you say, plastic mix that hardens into like a rubbery texture thingy and dries clear. And it's mixed with white powder, I think it's chalk. So you can use gesso for like gluing stuff, as I'm doing with the hair now. I glued it underneath, but I'm like adding glue on top, or the gesso on top as well, so I know that it will be kept in place properly then when I add paint on top of it. And I guess I could mix this with watercolors as well. Maybe I should try that, see how it turns out. So there we have the ear, and now I'll have to clean it more thorough. I'm going to dry this, and I think we're going to work a little bit more on the tail before we're done for the day. Some more on the tail, and maybe, I don't know, some more on the water, because now it feels like the rock is in front of the water and the water is like in the back. So I might even remove this. Yes, I am going to do that. I have already decided. And it was much harder than I thought, but some things you just need to do. I'm going to use this instead of like tearing the whole thing apart. I might do that anyway. Oh, I don't want to cut into the canvas. Okay, I'm cutting into the canvas. Can you see what I'm doing? No, you cannot. I'm sorry. I don't want to get out of frame. Okay, I'm going to be very careful now, so I don't like cut into the canvas or into myself. I used to work in a toy shop before. I can't remember what it's called now. BR toys. And you know, many people think that working in a store is like glamorous. You stand in the cashier and the stuff, you know, helping customers and all that kind of stuff. And it's not, I tell you. A lot of the work in a store is unboxing, and that was basically what I was doing all day, like every day. And in that store we stood like in the store and did the unboxing, because there was just so much that needed to be unboxed, and like there was not enough time to do it in storage. Oh, I've cut into the you know, you can just heat it up and take it off. So, but oh, you worked in ICA. And yeah, it's a lot of unboxing. It's basically all you do, and you use these like brake blade knife or box cutters, and I just kept cutting myself on like my fingers and mostly my thumb. And I don't know if that's because I'm such a clumsy person, but a lot of my colleagues had a lot of cuts on their hands as well. So I guess that's one way to know what a person does for a living, is looking at their hands, and if they have lots of cuts, they can be working in a store, or I don't know, in something else where you use a lot of knives. Like when people are crafters, the nails and hands looks like this. There's always like paint and glue and stuff on them. I'm going to mute you a little bit because I'm going to heat up the glue here to take off the tail. If you are clever, you can start out with doing that if you need to remove something, and if you are less clever than me, you can do it the hard way and try to rip it off first. So I was thinking that I'm going to add like strips of something. Maybe we could use like musical note paper. I think that would be kind of nice for this. Oh, you worked at Biltema. Yeah, I guess that could be like at the unboxiest place of the unboxiest places. Lots and lots of stuff to pick up from. Yeah. So, well, and I worked there for 12 weeks, and then I decided to go back to like care. I work as a social caretaker, or I worked as a social caretaker or personal assistant for sick people, and I wanted to get away from that because it's incredibly like depressing kind of work. You work really close to someone, and it's usual that you start to like them, you know, and you like walk beside them and see them get worse, and then many dies from the disease they have. It's very usual with MS or ALS and things that's Alzheimer's as well. Yeah, it's a terrible thing to see someone like get broken down like that, and you get less sensitive, you know, when after a while. But it's, yeah, very depressing. So to get away from that, I started studying to be a preschool teacher. So that's what I'm doing now, or I'm actually on summer break, but I want to be a preschool teacher. So that's what I'm trying to do, because it's like quite the opposite of what I used to do, like intense home care or something that they called it, where I worked. So if everything, you know, works out as it's supposed to, kids, they just develop and they go forward. You know, they start walking, they start talking. So yeah, it's a very, what do you say? You get very appreciated, and you really get surprised and appreciate your work a lot more than what I did before. So yeah, that's something about that. And I think this looks kind of nice. I'm going to add some more texture underneath here, like build it up a little bit, just to make the illusion that the water is closer to me, and then I'm going to add this underneath. So we might use some more tissue. I hardly have, here's my tissue. Here's my tissues. And I want to try to get like a wavy pattern, maybe, into this. Here, if it's possible. Like this, maybe. And we're using this like wallpaper glue. Oops. Stuff that's used for wallpapers. And you can also, oh, I forgot to clean this off. There we go. Also for papier-mâché. I guess I should work some more with that. I tried paper clay. I was going to make like a little house, and I thought that I used so much product that yeah, I think I like papier-mâché more, because it doesn't get as pretty. It's more, you know, bubbly and bulky and stuff, but you don't need to use as much product as with paper clay, because you use like a lot of PVA glue, and it's kind of expensive, at least if you buy it like in this size, or like a bigger bottle, but still a bottle of it, then you need to use quite a lot. I know there's like huge box that artists and painters get, and maybe carpenters as well. I think that's something that carpenters or builders use, but I'm not quite sure. And the same thing about that, like acrylic spackle thing. It's you don't get it in very large tubes because it's not really used that much. It's just for small cracks, like on the wall, or between like the door and the wall or something like that, where you need to use that stuff. That's not going to crack. Other spackle cracks. So yeah, it's kind of expensive. So yeah, I needed to use kind of a lot for that. So yeah, I didn't really like it. And I don't know if I'm going to make little houses either. I'm kind of into needle felting, and I made like these adorable little bears, I think the word is. And I wanted to make them a house. So I tried, and I ran out of paper clay, so I have like a half covered house in paper clay. So I might have to do something about that when I get to it. So I'm trying to get this kind of wavy pattern here. Maybe we should crumble it up a little bit. Yeah, let's do it like this. I think this is kind of nice. This is kind of nice. And I don't want it to be too like obvious either, or obvious. I don't know really what I mean by that, but we are going to find out, aren't we? So, and I've also glued in quite a lot of bit of my hair into this, so it's a very personal project. It has my DNA. So there we go. So I'm going to dry this, or no, I'm not going to dry it yet. I'm going to add gesso on top first, and then I'm going to dry it, just to make things a little bit quicker. I have another tube, but I am going to use the last drop in this one first. Painting on top of this. So I think it kind of gets the illusion that this is closer than the rock, at least. So, and then I'm going to make the rock darker and this stuff kind of lighter, so it looks like it's closer. But the perspective, I think it's kind of difficult to get like correct, you know. When I went to high school, we had this in like art class, that you make a point and then like make lines with a ruler from there, and so that if you're making a room, then it turns into a box and stuff. Or the room, yeah, it is like a box, and that positioning of things should be in a certain way according to the point in the room. So yeah, flower hairs. It's the same thing. I used to crochet a lot. I don't do that now that much because I don't really have time. So I did some knitting too, and there were always hair in the stuff that I made. So sometimes I try to pull it out, and sometimes I just left it in there because, you know, it doesn't really matter. It's not like it's cat's hair or anything that you can get allergies from. It's just, I don't know, it's a little bit personal, so it's like it has a part of you. I don't know, maybe that could be like a powerful, if you're like a witch and trying to make a love spell or something, that you give someone a scarf that you knitted with your hair in it. I don't know. I've read like there's old tales about women doing those kind of things when they were trying to make men fall in love with them, like making food and cut little pieces of hair and then give them put that in the food and give it to them, just so they were like supposed to fall in love with the woman that did this, because he had like little pieces of her inside of him. That's a very strange thought. And at the same time I feel that it could be kind of dangerous to have little pieces of hair inside your body. I don't know if it can really make, you know, a mess in your insides. Oh, it's popping up a little bit here. I think that's kind of nice too. It's like a wave, so I'm going to make some like foam on top of that. So I'm going to blow dry this, so I'm going to mute you guys again. Have I been out of frame this whole time? I sure hope not, but oops. This is what we're looking at the moment, so I'm just going to add some blue here, I think. And my water just gets more and more dirty. And I was thinking like I would have little waves here. Like this is going to be a darker spot here. Here it's going to be a darker spot. And like here maybe. then it just turns lighter on top of the waves. I don't know. Just going to have to look into that. But I think that it kind of catches the, what do you say? The feeling of water now that it has some more texture and like waves. And this is like the waves crashing onto the rock, maybe. Oh, it's too blue. I think I had some more of that green in it. Here. I'm going to have to wipe some of this off. I'm happy you can't see the messiness of my desk right now. It's terribly messy, I can tell you that. So it's going to be darker here. And like darker here. So that's like a wave here. And maybe like a wave here, I don't know. I'm going to have to think more about this wavy thingy. And maybe look on some pictures of water, because this is really difficult actually. I haven't painted water ever before, so this is going to be very interesting. And we're going to be ending soon, but I just got really into this. More blue. More blue. Too much blue. This is really hard. I'm trying to mix like the same color, and yeah, I made it. Woo! Almost, at least, but I can just take some of it off. I guess that it gives another look as well when you're doing it like this. And then I'm going to add some more shading just to give it more depth. I might even try to add some pencil drawings to this, just to like show the waves more. Oh, there's some tissue there. And the tail is going to be on top of this, and I think that this looks a lot better. I'm not sure if I like the letters here as much now when we have notepaper in the back, but I still like it better with the notepaper, so I'm going to keep that. And I might change the tail into something else, maybe into this or something totally different. But I'm going to have to end the stream here. Oh, thank you, Matilda. Yeah. Yeah, I kind of lost my thread there. Yeah, I'm going to have to end it here. But I'd like to thank you so much for watching tonight. I've had a lovely time, and I hope you had a lovely time too. And hopefully I will be streaming the same time next week. yeah, I'm happy you had a good time. So yeah, I hope to see you next week, same time, and yeah, you should have a really good night. Till I see you again. Bye.